Spicer had to apologize yesterday for this comment.
Someone as despicable as Hitler, who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons.
First of all, look, we all know what he meant. I mean, he was saying Assad is even worse than Hitler. I mean, this is just party political, isn't it?
Well, you know what? We don't all know what he meant. You know, it was insensitive, it was insulting, and actually it was quite ignorant. It was very clear that he didn't know his facts. He didn't do his fact-checking. And I think, you know, when we're talking about a White House spokesperson, he speaks for the White House, the top office in the United States. And if we're talking about making America great again, then it starts at the top. And we need to make sure our facts are together.
Yeah. So you would say that Assad is not worse than Hitler?
I would say that Spicer just spoke wrong. You know, Assad is a bad guy. I was an ambassador for the United States of America. Certainly, we're all concerned about Assad. But I think what Spicer talked about was very different. He was saying that there was no comparison, that Hitler did not use any gas or chemicals on his people, and it was just quite wrong. So it was not only insensitive, it was insulting. And this is Passover, you know, to all of those who are of the Jewish faith. I apologize because I think that it's so important to be culturally sensitive and understand what you're speaking about.
Do you think there's any comparison between Assad and Hitler?
I think that certainly both of them were very, very bad men. And so, you know, Assad is still living. I think both of them are bad men. And I think any atrocity against people is absolutely wrong. It's an abomination. So I certainly am very concerned about what's happening in our world, but I'm also very concerned about what's happening in America. And those who speak for America, as an ambassador, I had to take the right message. And when I spoke, it represented what happens in America. So there has to be accountability and there has to be responsibility.
Okay, well, speaking to us this morning is Coulter as well, a Republican commentator and Trump reporter. The trouble is, isn't it, is that he just appeared to forget the 6 million Jews that were gassed using chemicals. That's what it appears like, and whether he intended to forget them or not, we don't want a government that forgets things like that. It looks incompetent. To some, it's extremely offensive. It's not good, is it?
No, I don't think that's what it appears like. I think it appears that he forgot to say in warfare. I think everyone understands what he meant, but unfortunately it was about the Holocaust, so then he got
I'm not sure people do, Anne. I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't think people are that clear. He said he didn't use chemicals on his own people. And it wasn't that implies
later
that
when he was. There seems to be a delay. No, that was later when he was frustrated. You can see where that line should have gone, and I'm not particularly, I mean, people misspeak all the time. I'm sure you have. I know I have. But it happened to be about the Holocaust, so now he's being really shockingly maligned for being a Holocaust denier. Come on, that's crazy. He fumbled his words, said some stupid things. I'm on the other hand, it is extremely stupid to be invoking Hitler when you're talking about Assad. It's becoming a little bit comical over here, this desperate attempt to make Assad a monster on the order of Saddam Hussein. And, you know, come on, in that region, he's one of the better strong men. I mean, there are a few other countries, maybe Jordan, the Arab Emirates, but he's no Saddam Hussein. There are no rape rooms. He's not a jihadist. He helped the United States after 9/11. He's been falsely accused before, including of the Lockerbie bombing.
Assad is one of the better, strong or bad men, did you say there?
In the Middle East, absolutely. But they're trying to portray him as, I mean, he's, I think I'd rather live in Damascus than any place in Saudi Arabia. He doesn't have these Islamic police going around slapping women.
And we're just running out of time. Do you think, Susan,
if I may, I think we need to stop making excuses for those at the top. And I think
so,
comparing what happened in Syria to what happened in the Holocaust.
It only got worse from there.
Yeah, it did get worse.
Hitler did use chemical weapons.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And listen, here should be a general rule for anybody involved in public life, whether you're a governor, a press secretary for the president, or whether you're a host of Fox and Friends.
Right.
Don't bring up Hitler.
Ever.
Ever. There's no winning.
Okay.
There's no winning in bringing up Hitler. Write that down. It's very important. Don't bring up Hitler.
All right.
You can't win in any conversation about Hitler. He is the most despicable human being in the history of the world. You can't make any kind of comparisons like that. And I just think that unfortunately for Sean, he got carried away with himself. I'm glad he apologized, but you just, given all that experience, you should know better.
Definitely deserves criticism, of course, but is the mainstream media, I mean, this is their headline. They're talking about it constantly.
Well, listen, this is the game we play. And so if you're the White House press secretary, you know that. He deals with the mainstream media every day from behind that podium. Listen, he made a mistake. He apologized for it. But the fact of the matter is that you never bring up Hitler. That's a good rule.
Okay.
If you follow that rule, I think you keep yourself out of this trouble completely.
But, Governor, is there a problem with the system that led to that? Is there enough people in the communications division to go over the top 5 headlines of the day in order to handle a 45-minute or a 1 hour and a half meeting with the press where there is no script?
Brian, do you really think somebody needed to sit across from someone and say, like, don't compare anybody to Hitler?
Yeah.
Like, I think if you had 50 people in the White House communications staff, they probably wouldn't have done that. That's why it's a mistake.
Right.
He made a mistake, and so now, you know, he apologized for it, and I think people move on.
In all fairness, that has to be the hardest job. Could you imagine being in the hot seat every day?
Actually, he would have no problem with that. I've seen that here at Town Hall.
Listen, it's a tough job. And then the fact is, though, that, you know, I don't believe Sean meant anything by it. You know, and I certainly don't think he's discriminatory in any way. I don't think that's who Sean Spicer is. But your job is to be out there every day speaking for the President of the United States. One of the things you should take out of the portfolio permanently is any Hitler reference.
There you go.
We should just stop that.
That's the lesson for today. Listen, I know that United, one of the big hubs, is in your town of Newark, New Jersey. You're calling on airlines to stop with the overbooking thing.
Well, what I really am saying is to the Trump administration and to Secretary Chao, you can do something really important here. Until you review how the networks, the airlines, are really using this overbooking, suspend them, stop them from doing it. Because what we saw the other night, unfortunately, is typical of the attitude of United Airlines. Now, I know that because 70% of the flights at Newark Airport, in and out, are for United Airlines.
They are.
And the attitude of that airline is awful.
What happened?
Well, listen, I don't know. I don't think they've ever really recovered from the merger between United and Continental. And I don't think they've integrated their employees. I don't think they've set a culture there. And you've got a CEO who basically takes off after the guy who's getting dragged down the aisle.
They get around it by, if you say no more overbooking, their argument might be, we actually didn't overbook. Everyone had a seat. We just kicked 4 people off because our crew needed to get there.
Well, you know what?
That's better.
Make other allowances for your crew. I mean, the fact of the matter is these are paying customers. And when I buy a ticket and then I check in and I'm assigned a seat, I expect that if I'm boarded onto the plane, that I'm going to stay on the plane. And I think to do what they did, everybody who flies commercially knows that United is awful. I mean, they know United's awful. And I mean, I talk to constituents in New Jersey all the time who really, if you live in the northern part of the state, basically have no choice but to fly United. And United uses that. They overbook it. They have less planes. They make more money. This is all about, remember this, they kicked those people off, that guy off the plane and the other 3, to make money.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. And they're doing it with the permission of the federal government. So what I'm saying to the administration is stop them from doing it. You want to do regulatory reform? Let's do it.
All right. Chris Christie, thank you very much. Let's hope they're listening. 2 lessons in that chat.
We know they listen to Fox and Friends. Come on.